who is Phi related to. Q, brother, or Delta is what you spun the wheel on, basically.
Yeah, I had the wheel decide, and then I made it. I vetoed it, but the wheel thinks that Phi is related to Q for some reason. I think of the three options, that was the least likely answer. I would have been fine, or I'd find it funnier if it was brother or Delta, but I lean into Delta because of the transgender Santa meme.
Maybe it's all of the above.
Q is brother who is Delta. I mean,
yes.
Why not? That sounds about absurd enough to be correct. Maybe it's all of them.
Delta. It's just, yeah.
I don't even know what to do with you guys.
Oh.
Hello, gentlemen. Today I would like to talk to you about zero-time dilemma and how sometimes gaming is just not fair.
I'm Dallen Malda, and today with me I got my buddy Christian.
Hello?
Every time. And my buddy Austin.
September 30th, 1998. The day I'll never forget.
Yeah, that'd be really funny if it takes me that long to get this episode out, also. I mean, not 1938, but you know what I mean. Oh, man. Yeah, hey, fellas. Hey, who thought we'd make it here? Not me. But here we are. Zero Time Dilemma, the third game in the Zeroscape series. We have obviously gone over the previous ones, so if you're here and very confused about us, go watch those. But for those of you that have stuck it out with us, we're going to dive right into this bad boy. But I do have one question I kind of want to keep in mind going in. Yeah, you've heard of the legend of the monkey's paw, right? It's the idea of kind of a genie-like object that grants you a wish, but it does it in kind of a cursed way where you don't really get exactly what you were hoping for. And you're like, I wish for $1 million, but it's like, oh, you get it in a bank robbery. Whoopsie doopsie, Yeah, you got what you asked for, but not really what you wanted. I bring that up for no particular reason, and definitely not in relation to the game we're talking about. Gentlemen, have either of you ever had a thing where you got exactly what you asked for, but not what you wanted? Because for me, it was this game. No, can't think of any right off the bat. That's allowed. Well, commenters, please, if you've got something, because going into the history of this game, this question is directly related. Because I love the first two games. I consider them both 10 out of 10 good. Maybe VLR's a 9.5, but they're in my upper echelon of games that I love. They were made for Dallen. They were Dallen games. But they didn't sell particularly well. And so the series got canned after the second one, which, again, if you've watched the episodes as you should, ends on an immense cliffhanger. Oh man, what's gonna happen next? We're setting up all this stuff, and 999 ends pretty self-contained. You could end it there. VLR is not a good place to stop. It's a great story, but it is clearly the Empire Strikes Back of this trilogy here, where we need the third to finish off what's going on. But it didn't sell, so they canceled. And a bunch of fans got together and did Operation Bluebird and made fan art and requests and emailed the publishers and said, please, 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 let them make a third one. And 5 years passed, but they finally were allowed to make it, with a budget of a stick of gum and a paperclip. And also the writer had clearly gotten bored and did not want to continue his original story. That's the only way I could think to explain it, because he didn't even write the full thing. He only wrote D-Team, which is one of the things we'll get into, but he only wrote 1/3 of this game. And it shows, so... but yeah, this was made on a shoestring budget of absolutely nothing, and we just lost a lot of kind of the sauce of the first one. That leads right into the presentation. So Austin, I'm going to bug you about it. Did you happen to notice any presentational differences about this game compared to the first two?
Presentational differences, where to begin. Because that could be interpreted in many different ways, honestly, when you're asking me. First of all, I thought VLR was bad. I miss VLR in terms of how things look. The models in this and the animation quality are not that good. Very not that good.
Even the concept art is different. There are severe stylistic changes that aren't just budgetary related. Like, Junpei and Akane's hair is distinctly purple instead of, like, the brown that it was previously.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Junpei's eyes were not red.
Yeah.
Unless there is some lore thing behind that. Like a different visual change that I noticed immediately that was weird, but didn't really follow up on it much.
Yeah, did you notice that too, right, Christian?
Yes. He doesn't even... I didn't... Until they started calling him Junpei, I was like, that's not him, is it? And then it turned out it was. And
yeah.
It just was disappointing.
You know, there's emo Spider-Man. We now have Emo Junpei. So, following in the footsteps of greatness.
Which is worse.
When does this dance?
A third entry into a series where the main protagonist becomes emo for seemingly no reason. Oh, man.
I'm just waiting for Junpei to just stand up and go, now dig on this.
Okay, how out of place would that be in this game, though, frankly?
It would
Not
actually
even
work.
remotely.
Yeah, but could you imagine Junpei doing that in the first game?
Not at all.
But you can imagine him doing it in this game, can't you?
Yeah, and that's the problem.
Yeah, this game's...
It's like 1 year or less than a year.
Yeah, it's 1 year later, man. It's absolutely bonkers. It feels frequently like it's not in the same series, I feel like. Like, it just feels...
Yeah.
So...
The closest you get is D-Team.
D-Team, which is the one written by Uchikoshi. So, yeah, it it is... I know not many people have played this series, but, like, for the few people that have, like, you've got to be with me where it just feels, like, foreign. It feels like you're in Bizarro world where you're like, yeah, I can see how this is related, but it just does not feel the same at all. And it really permeates in everything from the writing to the cutscenes to even the puzzle and the gameplay design. I feel like that's taken a very sharp turn as well. Christian, do you want to explain kind of the central conceit of what this is regarding the fragments compared to the other two games?
Basically, instead of having like a traditional timeline for this game, it just lets you jump between random rooms and just kind of... It feels like they were trying to do something with it, and it just doesn't work, in my opinion. I do not like this fragmented jumping, like, you're going to forget this room.
Yeah.
Like, I don't... At least up to this point, I don't understand why there is any benefit to them not remembering what room they were already in. I don't see the point of that. So all of this fragmenting, jumping of like, and they always check their watches of like, oh, it's 1901. Oh, it's 18. So like you as the player, you know, like, okay, so this is before the room I just played, but it doesn't work for me. I'm not a fan.
Yeah.
I think that the way that they handled the jumping in VLR was much smoother. I prefer that because you were kind of going in order of events. This just feels disjointed, and I feel like distances you from the game and the character that you're playing as opposed to making you feel like you're actually playing as this person and that you are involved and invested in the game.
I really feel like without the connective tissue of Alice killing herself in every timeline, it really just feels disjointed. It feels very disjointed. But yeah, I think the idea they were going for, because like the shtick of the game is, yeah, you get injected with an amnesia drug after every individual like puzzle room or decision you make. And so you're experiencing all the events out of order, and you're kind of can piece together what's going on, but not only are events out of order, there's like 4 separate timelines going on, so you're having to place what timeline you're in and where along that timeline you are. And it doesn't, unfortunately, it doesn't really matter. You can piece that together with context clues, but it's like, okay, so... it's going to matter more going into the second half, because as you already mentioned gameplay-wise, Austin and I, with some of our decisions, had some fragments show up because of choices we made, whereas you made some different choices, and those fragments didn't show up. So you still are affecting the future, but it's very hard to see your direct, like, oh, I made this choice, so this happened on a timeline. It's very hard to keep track of that. There is a timeline, but it's missing a lot of pieces intentionally. And that is a choice of all time. Austin, as someone who has disliked kind of the mechanics of each game, I feel like a little bit more as they've gone on. What do you think about the fragment system?
Oh,
peak realism, right?
I miss VLR. I don't know, like the fragment thing, there's no real I'm basically just clicking little mini games at this point. And then that's pretty much, it's like, pick the chapter of the movie you want to watch. We won't tell you which is chapter 1 or chapter 2. So I'm like watching a movie in the stupidest way possible. It feels like. So that's generally my opinion. I mean, ease of access, it's even less easier to access than VLR, because trying to navigate which timeline branch view am I supposed to get in to find the right way to jump back into a decision is kind of annoying compared to VLR, which was just a single tree and then you just click where you want to go. So it somehow made it simpler and less simple at the same time.
Yeah. No, I think you hit the nail on the head on that one. I think the conceit was, how do you stop time travelers? You make it so that they can't carry, because the biggest power our characters have, and that the bad guys know about, is that you can carry memories from alternate history and use that information to. That's how you win the games. Is you go down the timeline doesn't work for you, but you learn some important piece of information, carry it to a timeline where that information is valuable, and then you win that way. So I like the idea of someone who knows about time travel counteracting time travelers by constantly messing with their memories. That's a neat idea. I don't think it's played with in interesting ways. At the risk of spoiling what isn't going to happen, I think a fun thing would be to try and trick someone into thinking they're in a timeline they're not. I don't know another way to put that, but if there's the fragments, you go oh no, this is the timeline where, Akane is going to go crazy and kill Junpei. I better stop her. And it's no, that's not the timeline you're in, and so you just kill Akane for no reason, and I could see an interest. There's many things in this game. There's the interesting seed of an idea. I just don't feel like it is very well executed or explored to the way it should be, unfortunately. So there is that. You look like you want to say something, Christian.
Yes. So my issue, especially with the fragments and just how they have set up this game at this point, at least from my point of view, none of our decisions matter. There are no stakes. I don't feel invested if anyone dies. I have not really got upset at anyone dying, because we're at this point now that we're just okay, I'll just hop over and change my decision. Oh, I'll just hop over and do this. I'll just hop over and do that. We have so much freedom to change the timeline. It just, for me at least, I don't really feel that invested in the characters. I'm invested just because of my theories are right, but other than that, I'm what is... It's not gripping me like the first one or even the second one did.
I was going to ask, because we're very firmly just changing timelines with even more control in the second game, but you were still invested in characters and deaths there?
Not in the deaths, but I was more interested in the characters
and figuring out where they were going and their deal.
Yeah.
I
think it's a combination of how the powers are set up, how the writing has changed, and it being fragmented. It's okay, this person that I literally have just met as the player, I just got killed. I am not invested in this guy because I don't even know who that is, you know?
I guess that's worth going over the characters, because they're a quirky bunch. This is probably my least favorite cast overall, despite it being a lot of returning characters, but on average, because, I mean, I'm going to list them off real quick, and then I want y'all's opinions, but basically you got C-Team, which is Junpei returning from Game 1, but now he's emo and basically feels like an entirely different character. He really does not feel at all like Junpei from Game 1, and he doesn't even feel like Grumpy Tenmyoji from VLR either. He's just a different character, it feels like. Akane is interesting because she does feel different than Game 1, but at least in a more believable way, because Game 1 Akane was putting on a bit of a face. So to find out that she is actually sweet, but she's also a little bit psychopathic, does feel in character for her based on what we... Because I do love, like, the first room I've went to with them. It's like, oh, we can't fit. Maybe Akane should have laid off the cakes. And she's like, I know, we'll chop off Junpei's arm, then he'll fit. Like, I was like, there's the woman who was willing to kill a bunch of people to get revenge and trick a boy into loving her so that he'd save her. Yeah, I buy that. You may disagree. I love Carlos. I love Carlos. He's the new guy on that team. He's just, we've seen it briefly, but he like gives an encouraging speech in front of an American flag in the rec room, and I'm like, yeah.
And he's a firefighter.
Yeah, he's a firefighter. He's beautiful and blonde and just a little bit stupid. I love Carlos. He's the standout addition to this game for me. Yeah. Yeah, Carlos. And then...
No mustache, though.
Yeah. And then you got D-Team, which we said is the best written. That's... Well, Austin, tell us about D-Team.
D-Team is the best character, Sigma.
Mm-hmm. But not just
then
any
we
Sigma,
got
right?
Old man Sigma in young Sigma body Sigma.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Zero Sigma. Yeah. Sigma shenanigans.
Yeah. It's Zero
we got
Senior
the
from
Chad
the last
Sigma.
game. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we got Phi back again from VLR, with a visual difference to her character this time. Shall I comment on that yet?
Oh, please do. Please do.
One of the first things I notice is looking at her, I'm like, why the frick are her eyebrows red? When she has white hair. Apparently that's really relevant. I just didn't know that at the time. But yeah, that's a thing. And then we got Diana, who is what you end up playing as, so to speak.
Yeah.
Which is who Luna was based off of in VLR. So that's fun. Yeah. I find her personality really fun. Phi, when she's not hit by the stupid stick, is just as fun as VLR. And then Sigma is just the best.
I want Christian to tell us about Q Team, but then I do want to talk about the stupid stick in a second. But you had something to say, Christian?
Well, so my issue, one thing, and I don't feel like Phi was this much this way in VLR, but every time Phi speaks in this game, I feel like I'm sitting through a TED Talk. Because she talks for so long over these like scientific principles, just like out of the blue so many times. I find her annoying in this game.
That's interesting. Really? I mean, she was like that before. I don't find it out of character. She was like that before.
She did ramble, but I just feel like it's so much more this game.
Well,
and maybe I'm just noticing it now because I'm playing it now. I don't know. But she just seems too TED Talky. Like, here's a long speech to explain a principle.
Okay, that's everyone in every game, though.
Yeah, it's like that happens in every 999 game and almost every puzzle. Room,
I could list off like everyone. Yeah.
I know, but I feel like within the D team, between the three of them, Phi is the only person that does that, from my perspective. Like, Sigma doesn't really go into long speeches, and Diana doesn't know anything.
Oh.
And then like Akane sometimes will go for long speeches, but it's not nearly as long or as bad.
The
That's
anthropic
the longest
principle.
one. The anthropic principle goes on forever.
Yeah, but that was just one instance. I feel like every room Phi has a TED Talk. Like, I would, whenever Phi would start talking, I would stand up from my computer, keep my headset in, and go do dishes. Or go clean up, like, the living room or something. Because I was like, okay, we're going to be here a while. Let's go do something.
Okay, but that minor tangent aside, Christian, do you mind running us through the glorious glories of Q Team real fast?
Q Team is 3 characters that we've not seen before, written by not the original writer of this game.
That is correct.
So it's just like they were just throwing things in, hoping they stick. You got Q, which, like, literally last game there was a masked figure who didn't remember who they were. And now we have that same instance happening again with Q, but this time Q's a child. And that's literally all I know about Q up to this point, is that they're a child and they can't get their helmet off. And then you have Eric, who is he's a special kind of person.
Yeah, that's one way to put it.
He's a little, and like they explain his backstory, but he's just a little bit of a weird one. Like, he's the vegetable you find in a fruit basket. I'll put it that way.
What does that mean?
I'll leave that to the audience to decide.
No, man.
And then Mira, who is who Eric is in love with.
Yeah.
Eric's just a simple ice cream scooper. Mira walked in and she's an angel, but
Yeah.
I mean, I assume we're not worried about spoilers.
Oh
for
no,
anybody
Editor
listening.
Dallen put full spoilers at the beginning, or partial spoilers, or whatever.
Okay. Plot twist, Mira's just here to try to cut people's hearts out. Like, literally, it's so unhinged and just like random. And this is the other thing with the fragments. It's so weird because like there's one scene where you're in a shootout and I shoot Eric, and all Mira says is, "You shot him in the heart, you idiot! I wanted that." And it's just like, what?
Yeah, I think that was the first fragment
Come again?
all of us went to. I have a
Exactly.
problem. So, yeah, because if you look at it and it's friggin' the little kid
Kid with the crossbow.
holding a crossbow at the camera, and you're like, what the fuck is that? So everyone clicks that one first, and it immediately. So every cutscene where you see like Eric and Mira together, you're like, okay, sure. Like, it immediately undercuts any. Not that there was a lot, but like, even think about Dio. There was a little bit of tension. Like, he was obviously sus, but it's like, what is his deal, right? Even though he was very obviously evil from the beginning, there was a lot of like, what's his deal? But everyone clicks on that kid with the crossbow the moment they start Q, and then you're like, oh, I know Mira's deal now, like, immediately.
Yeah.
And I think that undercuts a lot of potential tension building or interesting mysteries that could have carried you through some of the more dull parts of Q Team stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, literally, I did that, and then, like, 4 fragments later, they're sitting and like, there's an offhanded comment about, like, you remember, like, 5 years ago, that heart stealer killer that was running around? That was crazy.
Austin mentioned this
I'm just
too,
like-
and they zoom in on Mira every time they mention it.
Yes, exactly.
Like, yes, I know it's you.
Oh, we lost him. Or I lost
It's just, like...
me. Oh.
So that's the Q Team. And
That's all you've got to say
they're
about
a
Q
mess.
Team?
I mean, Eric comes from an abusive home. There's
look-
one timeline where Eric and Mira escape together, and then it shows like future down the road, and Eric like wakes up one morning he's like, "Good morning, my love." And then you just hear the sound of a knife, and it's like, she got his heart. This is the timeline that she wanted. They're just weird people, man. They're weird. I'm not sure what you want me to say.
Well, two things. One,
Well-
I was gonna say Eric is more of the abusive home. His dad strangled his little brother in front of him and then made him like bury his body out in the lake.
I forgot about that.
No, that's a thing that happens. Like that's so it's a rough time.
Poor Eric. He just wanted to be happy and scoop ice cream.
You're missing somebody, Christian.
Cute.
You're missing Gab.
Gab?
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know if Gab fell into the Q category or where Gab
he
went.
is in all of
but
them. He bounces around.
Gab's just a dog that wanders around, and just happens to be there whenever somebody dies, or whenever like somebody escapes. Gab is there, but Gab never leaves. There's a theory behind that, just so you guys know.
My theory, I'm just gonna say this right off the bat. I will. I guess in saying this, because I've already told you that I didn't guess it, I'm telling you this is wrong. But my theory at the time was that Zero had triggered his consciousness inside of Gab. Was my working theory for quite some time, actually.
That would be a good one.
Yeah.
Gab does have 4 arms.
We'll get to that in a moment. I guess we can get into that. Well, I want to talk about the Anthropic principle first, real fast, because that pisses me off. This is Dallen's philosophy corner. It makes me angry. So, yeah, Akane basically throws out in the frigging longest thing forever, the Anthropic. There's a lot of stupid pseudoscience in the first one, but I guess, I don't know, it was a bit more endearing because she seemed kind of like a ditzy occult, like just looking for magic at the world type person, and now she's like, I don't know, just annoying me a little bit with this one moment. The Anthropic principle is the idea that's like, oh, you idiot. They don't directly say God, but basically materialists are like, oh, you idiot, you think God made everything because everything is exactly finely tuned specifically for life. But that's dumb, because what's actually happening is that all multiverses are equally valid. I know we have no proof in this, but I want it to be true. And the only reason things seem finely tuned is because we exist in only a universe that happened to be randomly finely tuned for us is one that could be observed. So if you're observing it, that means it had to happen, which brings the necessity down from a billion to 1 to 100% basically. It's incredibly stupid and it's philosophically bunk, but this game likes to bring up a lot of philosophically bunk ideas. The older ones did it too, and they're going to get into something later about the way time travel works that pisses me off, but we'll save that for a later episode. I will just say that I brought this up in VLR, but a lot of times the way the narrative is portrayed and the ideas and mechanics of the game itself are at odds in a frustrating way, because the game makes it seem like it does matter when you win these things, that good should prevail, that it's worth trying to find a good ending. This, for all the stupidity, there does exist morality in this world. Even when characters do terrible things, they're chastised, and it's like, people are like, no, that's wrong. There is a right and a wrong. We should strive for right. But the game mechanics, at least in the TED Talk section, seem to present themselves with the idea that morality is very just kind of whatever. So I think that's a misstep in the terms of the writing here. And I thought it was worth ranting about. Dallen Philosophy Corner ranting over for now. We're gonna get back to it, buddy. Oh boy, are we gonna get back to it.
The speech was so bad it made Junpei not want to drink anymore. And honestly, I was right there with him.
Oh man. Okay. Actually, before we get to the meat, which is of course theories, vindication, and discoveries. Because we kind of glanced over, there were the puzzles. I feel like these are easier than the other games. I don't know, Christian. Well,
I would say that comparatively, these puzzles are easier, but there are also a handful that are just like dumb.
Yeah.
Which ones in particular, you two?
Like, I'm trying to think of specific ones.
I got one.
Like
The card, the one where you have to painstakingly see all the randomized card ones, is just very time consuming, I feel like, in the pod room.
and it doesn't like. Yeah, that one. I did not like that one. The one where you had to take pictures of piano keys.
That one
play a
frustrated me.
piano,
That's
to
a
then
dumb
put the
room.
piano keys back in a piano after putting them in the piano keyhole. What?
I was so mad about that. I have a comment on that room. I was so mad because I knew where one of the pictures had to be taken from, and I knew it was a perspective one, but I kept clicking everywhere. Dallen, you were watching me. I couldn't figure out how to get the camera in the spot where I could look at the picture the right way, and it was driving me insane. Yeah, you had to click the perfect pixel for it to put it in the spot where you can then drag and align it, but if you try to click the chair or the wall, it doesn't put you over there. No. It's so frustrating. I was stuck on there for like 10 minutes.
I'll be honest, I got so frustrated, I found Reddit, and I just, I looked up this specific puzzle. What in the world is going on? That was so frustrating.
I don't think it was all bad, though, because, like, I don't know that any are, like, my favorite room, but I enjoyed, oh boy, the incinerator room, for instance, I thought was a lot of fun. Once you realize you could go back and forth, it took me a second to realize you could, go to Fi's perspective, but
And the goggles. That was an interesting one.
yeah, I liked that one, and then I think the study is fun, actually, where that standoff is as well. The other thing that I think is fun is, I will say this, something that I think is worth praising about this game, I know it seems arbitrary, is the first two games had very formulaic choices for the most part. It's like 999, it's like what door you're going down. And then you could do the bookmark stuff, but really it was like, it's mostly doors, and then are you going to be an a-hole, or are you going to just listen to people talk, were the only choices. And then VLR, it was like, what door are you going through, and will you ally or betray? And those are the only choices that really mattered. I do like that some of the decision games are a little bit more varied, so you don't... Some of them are dumb. There are a lot of dumb decision games. But there are some interesting ones, and they're not as formulaic. Like, the two I just mentioned, I think were some of the more interesting ones, with like, hey, do you let your friend die in an incinerator, or do you play Russian roulette with your other friend? That's an interesting, harrowing choice. It's a version of the trolley problem, basically. But it's still fun. Or, friggin' the, oh gosh, what was the other one? The study. Who are you going to shoot? Yeah. Who are you going to shoot? Should we...
We'll come back to that.
Yeah, we'll come back to that.
I do have comments about the rooms in general, the decision games, before we jump into theories.
Please.
My least favorite room in this entire game was the rec room. I despise the rec room. That was the one that I just gave up and started looking things up because it didn't just make any sense to me. I felt vindicated when also, Dallen, you had to look some stuff up for it because it was annoying.
I didn't look it up. I accidentally cheated, I think is what I did.
I think it was a little bit of both. I think you looked up maybe after the fact you accidentally stumbled on something and then you were baffled how in the world you're supposed to intuit it.
So it's like type in the 4 letters to get the thing off, and I typed in spin because it was a thing that spun around. And then I was like, how was I supposed to... So I did look it up after I solved it, but I solved it through bullcrap. I was like, what's a 4-letter word that has to do with the roulette? Spin? And then it came off, and I was like, how was I supposed to know that? And apparently in an armor's head is like 3 pixels. That's a little hint. But I did not find that until I accidentally stumbled across the answer through sheer blind luck. So, yeah.
But in that same room led to also my biggest crash out on this game was like, I find the concept of the decision game interesting, at least like, you know, there's always like Zero popping up and giving like blah 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 dilemma type of thing, and then, you know, there's at least some kind of you know, like kind of choice to be made. Like, do you screw somebody over, you know, be an a-hole, or do the normal good person thing? But this one wasn't even a freaking choice. It was the it's like, here's 3 dice in front of you. You must roll the dice. If you all do not roll a 1, you will be shot. If you don't roll a dice, you will be shot. Make your choice. It's like, the frick kind of choice is this?
Yeah.
And it just set me over. It was the absolute stupidest thing ever. Christian, I want to know, did it take you also 3 tries to get it? I'm curious if it's just hard-coded as 3.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's just like, this is stupid. What if they I'm just thinking how bad it could have been if they programmed it to actually be that percentage chance and you had to keep trying and trying and trying.
She even mentions, what if we did this 3 times? Those odds are 1 in 72. So, like, the game is telling you. But the Russian roulette is actually hard-coded at 50%.
Yes, I like the Russian roulette one is good. I only took me 2. Like, I failed the first one, got it the second time, so it's pretty quick for me. That one is actually good use of the decision game. I still think that was a really obvious answer. You either have a 100% chance of somebody dying or a 50% chance someone dies. Obviously, you're going to play Russian roulette. It still was, even when it failed, it was still good. I just like those characters a lot and how they interacted. Sigma is based. But yeah, decisions are fun. The only other decision I thought was pretty stupid was don't push the button. Like, it would have been a little bit funnier on the point they're trying to get across if it was a big red button, but it's a big blue button. And, like, Sigma was making the reasoning that I was making at that point. It's like, we're just locked in a room, we did the whole thing, the button will probably open the door, and usually in a decision game situation, Zero will comment on the decision. He made no such comment. So it was the odd decision out at that point. So push the button to open the door. And we all died. And I'm thinking, why the frick would Zero do that? It seems so out of character to do that.
His motives are complex.
That damn snail.
Oh, we should talk about the snail. Have we mentioned what the snail is?
No. There's too much to talk about.
Christian,
There's
tells
another timeline where we started with the snail. But I was gonna say, like, in with regards to the, like, don't push the button thing, a thought that I had was, technically, in that timeline, we won. Because, since the base blew up, Radical 6 could not be released.
Unless it became airborne.
Do you think winning? Do you think winning is keeping Radical 6? That's what you think winning is? Keeping Radical 6 from being released.
That's Sigma's goal.
That's Sigma's goal.
If
Do you
we're
think
going
that's what's winning?
I mean, I assume winning is a timeline when we all get out, which is the coin flip. So, I assume that that's the only real winning in this game.
Austin, do you want to reveal something to him that I've revealed to you?
About what he just said, or my other thing?
No, about what he just said. We'll go into the other thing later.
You're right.
Okay.
You've seen
this entire game.
That's the ending.
You've seen the true ending already.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
We're not
literally
memeing.
just. So every timeline up to this point is just to find out who Zero is. And it just literally doesn't
Or some other
matter,
bullcrap. His motivations are complex.
They are complex.
As soon as I knew that, thanks Dallen for that piece of information.
You
it
asked.
made this game so much worse.
You asked.
Yeah. It's like, what is the point of everything if the answer is win the coin flip?
Yeah.
I mean,
and then nothing bad happens.
you aren't considering a couple things, because one of the primary themes
Sure.
of how these characters have done things is, I will say this so you get a little bit of motivation back. That is where they're going to end up, but a big part of this game is taking knowledge from other timelines and applying it where it's useful. So just because you've seen how they quote unquote get out doesn't mean that that's that version of them that's there in the true timeline.
Sure, yeah.
So that's worth
It'll be after all of them have been psychologically tortured.
right. Man, okay, yeah.
Just so my other issue with like this power scale, like the whole jumping timelines thing, like, so in one of the timelines, Sigma mentions that the first time he jumped, he was, I think, like 6.
Yeah.
And he fell in Icy Lake, and then he just woke up the next day in his bed, and his friends were like, "Hey, you never came out to the lake." So, like, in my mind, that goes, so when Sigma did that, he jumped to a different timeline and killed that timeline Sigma.
Yeah.
That consciousness.
They're gonna
Right?
talk about that, but that's the thing. Yeah, by this point in the series, it is, they'll say it expressly, but like when you timeline jump, you swap places with that consciousness. So every time they're about to die and jump into another timeline, they are yoinking that guy and putting him in a dying body, basically, is apparently canon. That's some of the things
Can you imagine you're just sitting there celebrating your birthday, and you take a blink, and next thing you know, you're getting hit by a car.
Yeah, I don't like that for a number of reasons. I do not like all timelines being equally valid. That annoys me a lot, and the narrative does not treat that as if that's true, because then it would be immoral to jump into a timeline and like kill an innocent person to save yourself. I better like the idea that's kind of what old Sigma is, which is like you are the amalgamation of certain things, and you know, but that's again how the game says it operates and how the narrative treats it as if it operates are treated differently. It is treated as if the characters we are following matter, that they are not just random numbers, that they matter and they're worth following, and their story and struggle is worth paying attention to. But the mechanics say they're random murderous body hoppers. So you just kind of have to decide where you're landing on that fence. I land on the narrative is more important than how they say it works, and that, you know, they can say that, but the narrative just doesn't treat that as if how it really works. But it can ruin the game for you if you take it literally. So, yeah. The snail, for those that care, is just like frigging like 8 times in this game. Zero pop up and be like,
A woman was going to go on a walk, and then she saw a snail, and so she went somewhere else, and then was killed. Her death caused the 9/11. I mean, like, not.
It prevented a kid from getting the needed surgery.
Yeah.
He died.
Yeah, and you get mildly different versions of the story, and it is all going to be connected and yada yada yada. But like, yeah, he goes on the snail story, and then ends with
Life is simply unfair, don't you think?
like all the time. So it's
All
very
because of that four-armed snail.
Okay, speaking of 4 arms, Christian, I think you did make a pretty big discovery. You want to tell us something?
So, anyone who's been following for this whole series, way back in 999, I said there are aliens behind this in some capacity. And guess who has 2 thumbs and is right? This guy. It's aliens. There are 4-armed, 6-fingered aliens running around in a different dimension, and they gave us
The pods.
I don't even know. They gave us interdimensional jumping technology from. They dropped it off in like Nazi Germany in World War II.
I think it was
and the U.S. found it.
discovered by Nazi Germany. I don't think they just dropped it off there. Well, because real life, sorry to interrupt real quick, this is an interesting thing. Real life, Nazi Germany was actually really big into occultism and felt that if they found pagan or mythological artifacts, they could win the war with them. That's a real thing that actually happened. So this game is going back mildly to the 999 roots of what if some of those rumors were true and that Nazi Germany actually did find like a weird paranormal artifact, in this case the pods, but they couldn't get them to work because they took more nuclear or higher power to make work. So even though they discovered them, they couldn't use them to win the war. Yeah.
New random theory.
Yeah.
Hitler used the machines to transport himself, and now he is actually brother leading the cult.
Man. They did
Hitler.
say that they didn't get enough power to work until yeah, but I love that theory.
Hitler
That
never
was a
died. He
cover-up.
just jumped into the future.
Man. Well, I mean,
Like this whole technology is basically just giving espers the ability to jump.
No, it's slightly more than that, and this is relevant. It makes a copy of your body somewhere, so you're not even jumping. It clones you at any time and anywhere they've been moved. But, like, it doesn't teleport you to a random place, but any time the pods have been, you can make a clone of yourself and drop it off at that time.
And then
So
you
it's
can
an
jump
ethical
to the
way to
clone.
jump.
No! I mean, you're not murdering someone, but you're not jumping. You're making a clone of yourself that appears somewhere else.
Yeah, but like it's an ethical way to go to a different timeline without.
Well, if you're still
killing.
dying and you jump to that new version of you that was created is still being murdered.
Yeah. It doesn't save your life, but it does let you time travel physically. The more important point is you're physically time traveling. Espers don't physically time travel. They take their consciousness. Okay, this is my other random theory of how you could make it quote unquote ethical, is if you are not an individual. They did propose this theory in 999 as well with the morphogenetic field. You are not an individual. The individual that is you does not exist in your body. It exists in the field. And all the versions on the timeline are just outcroppings of that you. And so when you're jumping, you're not really killing another individual with a unique human soul. You are simply moving around parts of your essence into different places. I think that's still dumb, but that is a way within the story's mechanics that you're mildly more ethical, because you're not even you. You exist as a blueprint in the cloud, and you're just downloading parts of yourself to different places. Again, I think that's dumb, but that's a way you could try and approach this to make it not literally make them into mass murderers.
Okay.
But anyway, the point is, this isn't your cognitive essence transferring through the field or through timelines. This is a physical body, which is related because of all the things that they could have easily followed up on and don't, that infuriate me. Remember at the end of the now non-canon ending of VLR, they're like, Clover and Alice, how are you going to physically move your bodies back? That's not how time travel works. And they're like, we've got a plan. Like, you could have easily used the pods to say, like, have Clover and Alice show up. I'm not saying we needed more characters in this game, and God forbid, we really don't need not like they would make the game better, but if you're going to set that up, the pods are clearly the answer where they clone themselves physically into the past. Yeah.
I just had a thought of another answer that doesn't even need alien pods. Because they were just frozen in a pod and then just thawed out in the future. In just the timeline that things work out, they can just thaw out that timeline's version of them and they can jump to it.
Oh, so this is never expressly stated, but it is implied, because you were bothered in one of the timelines. Sigma dies and he goes, "Ah, crap, my connection to the future is broken. I'm never going to build Luna. I'm not going to be able to, yada yada." And you're like, how the fuck is the connection broken? What is implied is that when you firmly lock in events that preclude that future from happening, you can no longer jump to and from that future. So, let's say this. This is going to be difficult to... Alright, Editor Dallen, I'm sorry. But let's say there's point A that is the past. One possible future is point B, and another possible future is point C. If you exist, you're trying to get point B to be the canon futures, but you're in point C. You move back into the past into point A. as long as nothing has happened that locks you into B or C, you could technically jump to either of them or have connections. But the moment you lock in an action that locks in point B, the ability to go back to point C is gone. If that, I know that's a little bit complicated, but basically when you locked in that the VLR future is not going to happen, since that sigma is from the VLR version of the future, he can't reach it anymore. It's the connections are too far. It's impossible to go forward into a future that doesn't exist from him from that point in time anymore. So this is how we're talking about.
Could he
so
theoretically go back
Clover
before that decision is made and then go back forward?
Yes, Clover and Alice could jump back into their own bodies before they get locked into the VLR future. But then you got to deal with the consequences of that because, yeah.
Wibbly wobbly. Let's
yeah, that's more implied than directly stated, but that seems to be how the mechanics work. But the mechanics also change every game in situation to situation, so I don't even know, because, okay, I know we've talked this before, but Junpei in Game 1 very much does not treat it as time travel, but as borrowing information from alternate timelines, because whenever he gets a flash of inspiration, and this is mildly how it seems to work in VLR, he doesn't they change their minds because sometimes a light comes down and lands on someone and they go, oh, I'm a different person now with information from a different timeline. That happens sometimes. And then sometimes you're just you and you go, oh, I know something. I just had a memory flash. And they kind of flip-flop back and forth on if your personality is being replaced, if your personality is being traded, because you never have someone who didn't initiate the jump go, where the falk am I? I was in the lab a second ago. That never happens. The other person that's supposed to be split back and wasn't part of it. The closest that happens is young Sigma being forced into the future of VLR, kind of. But other than that, you never see someone wake up in their body and be confused where they are and that they're in the wrong timeline. So they flip-flop on, does it just erase? Do you just overwrite that person? Do you swap with that person? Or do you just kind of borrow information from possible timelines? And they kind of play fast and loose with all three, depending on the situation. Make of that what you will. So, yeah, sorry. Tangent again. Okay. Is there anything else big we need to talk about before we get into Austin's discovery?
Let's get into it.
Okay. I'm so proud of him for this. I did not. He garnered much more information than I thought he would and discovered something way earlier than he was supposed to and way earlier than I did. Want to tell us
I
your
still
story?
think you kinda helped by enabling me, but I did get to the... So, I know exactly who Zero is, without question.
Mm-hmm.
And how I got there was, I know one day we were just kind of... Noel and I were in a call, and I'm remembering back, because it was established pretty early that, each of the wards has, that weird message in blood, or some paint, whatever it is. It's just, some weird message. And there was even weird message in VLR, so it's kind of the same thing. And, they're anagrams. I didn't really bother trying to solve them, but I'm like, okay, so anagrams are popping up here, too. In another room, when we were talking about Radical 6, there was another virus, and I was like, why the frick is there another virus here? Turns out that virus is an anagram, and I'm forgetting exactly what
fabrication
that was.
is what the anagram is. So the other virus is
a completely fake virus that was a fabrication. So I'm like, an anagram, and I'm trying to think, and I keep having this thing in my head from Dallen saying, this game is stupid, you'll never guess the final twist, you gotta think stupid, you can never think stupid enough. So I'm trying to think, okay, blah, 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 anagrams, how stupid are anagrams going to be? And I just started randomly throwing stuff, is the director's name, whoever wrote this game, is his name an anagram for something? No. Is the title of the game, Zero Time Dillema, an anagram? Turns out it is. So if you take the title of the game and try to solve it as an anagram, I just started randomly taking it and okay, what are all the random words I can make out of this? There was a big list of words. So I'm like, okay, let's approach this from a different angle. I'll take out 0, and I'll take out I am. So I'm 0. What can I make with the remaining letters? And only 2 words popped up. Mime and delta. Which mime can be broken up into me and I'm, which all of that points up together to... Can you remind me what the exact phrasing of it was?
Me, I'm Zero, I'm Delta.
Yep. Zero is some person named Delta. And the super fun thing about that is, if you go to the standoff in Q's room, where you try to pick who dies, who gets shot, you can put in Delta, and it's an ending. All of a sudden, Q just turns around and points at the camera and shoots you, and says, "I'm sorry," and you die. So, yeah, when I mentioned you're forgetting somebody in Q team, I wanted to say Gab, but also, yeah, Zero's in there. I don't know frickin' how. I'm still trying to figure that out. But Zero, or Delta, was there, and you kill him in that ending.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You want to know the other bonkers
How?
fact? There's another bonkers fact worth mentioning.
Okay. Go for it.
When they're like, who killed Junpei? When you're Carlos, you went back to it. You went to anywhere you could type in a name, and you typed in Delta, and it said, he is not here.
Yeah.
So
My
Delta
original theory
is
at the start
in
was like, the
Q2.
player character, or at least the camera's perspective, is always as Zero or Delta. But that can't be true, because in that same moment when I'm sitting there perspective, if Delta is not there at that time, where is he? So he can't necessarily just be exactly the player, but at least in that Q team room he was. Unless Delta is just like body hopping around. But then there's this weird case of, why doesn't Q team know about this guy here until you type in his name? And they also don't seem surprised. They're just like, oh, I'm sorry about this, and kills him. And they're not like, wait, who is this person here? So they both act like they don't know he's there and that he is there at the same time. I'm really confused by that. I'm going crazy over here with this information.
That, like... And Dallen, you might not remember me sending you a message about this, but I sent a theory of like, is this... Because I remember you saying the ending's dumb. I remember thinking like, are we the player Zero?
Well, I mean, that was the twist of the second game.
I said that as a theory. Because like, you know, it being a dumb ending, I was like, is the ending gonna be they all just turn to the camera and be like, "You're the reason we're here," or something like that? And that apparently, at least in Q Team, it's true. So Delta is a full person that's just there. That doesn't. There's so many issues.
Welcome
with
to
that.
my. Yeah. It's gonna be some bullcrap thing that I don't think we're gonna figure out.
This is so
until
much
it's just
harder
explicitly
because
said.
there's a camera. I'm just having to try and keep my face. Are we gonna run into a... Did Ace kill everyone? No, that's stupid situation like happened in the first 999 podcast.
Oh, most likely. If we talk long enough, we probably will. But there's another thing about that's in the theories, and it's another weird, stupid meme nugget of information that Dallen gave me. Where he just keeps memeing transgender Santa as Vi. I mean, he was dropping that in VLR, honestly. But I started thinking about that and thinking, how can that work in this game? And this goes back to the weird visual design that Vi has. I mean, and she reveals that, yeah, she dyed her hair because she's embarrassed to be a redhead. But, like, she didn't dye her eyebrows for some reason, which I find stupid. But if we try to play this in the transgender Santa realm, which Santa from 999 was basically the second half of Zero, working with a sibling in order to control the games. So if we apply that same logic, is Fi related to Delta? Is she the Santa of this game? Question mark, question mark? Maybe we'll find out Delta's a redhead.
I think I need to... Hang on. I'm copying this image over because you spun a wheel a while ago. And
Oh, yes, I did.
I do need to show this. And it was, who... it's popping up now. Who is Fi related to? Q, brother, or Delta is what you spun the wheel on, basically.
Yeah, I had the wheel decide, and then I made it. I vetoed it, but the wheel thinks that Fi is related to Q for some reason. I think of the three options, that was the least likely answer. I would have been fine, or I'd find it funnier if it was Brother or Delta. But I lean into Delta because of the transgender Santa meme.
Maybe it's all of the above.
Q is Brother who is Delta. I mean,
Yes.
why not? That sounds about absurd enough to be correct. Maybe it's all of them.
Delta. It's just, yeah.
I don't even know what to do with you guys.
Oh. Buckle your seatbelt, because we're about to solve this game. We're onto something.
I think that leads
Secret
us
to the true ending. Q had to kill his alternate self in order to break a time loop.
I think
And that is the secret in order to get the true ending.
I think that brings us nicely to theories. What theories do we have, you know?
Oh, we've already gotten into that.
Yeah.
What other theories do I got? Those are my big theories. Try, because knowing who Zero is opens up a lot of things. Dang, what else do I have? All of my theories are basically about that crap because I discovered that pretty... not too late, but kind of early. I did say pretty early that Zero couldn't be one of the main members of the cast. I felt like it finally has to happen where it's not a member of the cast.
Mm-hmm.
And that's correct, technically, because I wouldn't consider Delta part of the main cast. And Zero is Delta, so I finally got that right. A stupid theory, Q being Quark, or having Quark's face, would have been funny. Even if he's not Quark, if he had Quark's face, that would be hilarious. And then Q kind of being... I think that when Zero is mentioning that a kid died in surgery because the surgeon couldn't make it because of that damn snail, I'm thinking that kid in surgery didn't really actually die, and that kid is Q. But has like a bunch of how did they... I know they had like an acronym for the prosthetic stuff, like APT or something.
Oh, yeah, no, like whatever Sigma had in VLR.
Yeah, I'm assuming that a lot of Q is that, but I think he's still mostly human, kind of like a Raiden Metal Gear Solid
You had
situation.
some evidence towards that, do you remember?
Some evidence towards that. Did I have evidence, or did I just have random things?
You made
that
the
I
theory first,
noticed?
and then I pointed out evidence that supported your theory. I'll just remind you. When Eric is trying to strangle...
Oh yeah, he's super strong.
Yeah, when Eric is trying to strangle the boy, he knocks him back. And then also, at one point, one of the other characters is like, dude, these boxes are impossible to lift. They are, like, unbelievably heavy. And he's just picking it up and shaking it. Hello, is anything in there? So you have some... He's stronger than normal looking. So...
Yes, he is. He hits the gym really well, or he does not have human limbs. Maybe he's just full on a robot. I don't subscribe to that. I think he's probably just partly androidish.
Or maybe
But
he's
yeah.
just really used to being on the moon.
He is Radical 6, and he's in. Only he is affected by a different gravity type for some reason. And that Zero isn't actually a bad guy. Zero's never a bad guy.
Yeah, Zero's
So
never
far.
truly been like a bad guy. Like every game so far, Zero has had some kind of a reason that's not just I want to kill people, I'm a psycho for doing this.
It's usually
Yeah.
an ends
So I think
means kind of thing.
Yeah, so I think I wrote down, like, Zero isn't actually a bad guy, but is utilizing the bonds of trust to awaken further powers in these people so they can stop the main cult bad guys. Because they really talk about trust all the time. We gotta have faith and trust in the other teams that they won't kill us. That comes up all the freaking time. So I guess trust is some kind of important thing in this whole complex motivations.
All right. Christian, any theories we missed for you? I know you had a lot.
I have a lot. Gab is an alien. Gab is one of the four-armed beings, because we don't know how many toes or fingers Gab has.
Yeah,
It's-
So wait, is the twist that
We haven't
dogs
counted
are
the
actually
toes.
the aliens?
Yes.
That actually sounds like something this game would do, I'm gonna be honest.
Another theory was that Sigma is, again, Zero, trying to save Sigma. What else do I got? I just saw the meme of the vindication
Yeah.
for the...
Yeah, hey, finally, how proud were you to have aliens?
I was so proud. I was like, this is the dumbest way to have aliens, but I'm so glad that they're here. My other theory that if like Delta really is like a standalone character that we just haven't been introduced to, then this theory is true, that Zero is not someone that we have seen in a previous game. So I mean, that's not for certain, because Delta could be an alias for Snake or something. I don't know.
That'd be baller.
You what?
So that would be cool, but that also would be really weird in the Phi relation theory train.
They both have white hair.
But that means Phi is also related to Clover.
Plot twist.
I can't see that. I can't see that at all.
I don't have theories, but I have some interesting things that I wrote down. I thought it was interesting how there were a couple of Doctor Who references.
Yeah, there were.
Like how the robot's just like, timey-wimey, Geronimo! And it said something else, I don't think I wrote it down. But it just went through a few different Doctor Who sayings.
That room was it was super easy, by the way, also, because it literally just tells you how to disarm the bomb.
Yeah. It was, yeah.
It's like a reading comprehension quiz instead of a puzzle.
Yeah, that one was a dumb one. And then I don't know if this was a reference or if I was reading too into it, but in the rec room, when they're like looking at all the playing cards, Akane says, "Why so serious?"
No, that's a
was like-
reference.
Is that a Dark Knight reference?
Yes.
If it truly is, I'm proud that I got that. Oh, the other thing that I wrote down, which is just like, so we go from like there just being like 999 and VLR, it's just been like jumping, like that's been the only thing. There hasn't been like aliens and stuff talked about. And then we jump into this game, and I have this written down. So far, we have talked about mind-controlling parasites, aliens, multiple personalities, and a serial killer.
Yeah.
All of those have been mentioned, and it's like, I don't know if this is just Delta Zero just trying to mess with people, but it's like Diana has multiple personalities. Carlos has a mind-controlled parasite. I don't know. This game's dumb.
What?
So he made a decision you didn't. When you do something that seems mildly out of character, the characters freak out about it. I will say that. So if you press like the acid button, which I don't know if you did or didn't, Austin, but if you press the acid button as Diana, they're like, WTF, Diana? And she's like, I don't know why I did that. What's going on? Why? And then some people are like, oh, maybe you've got multiple personality disorder, you know, or they also disagree on like, hey, did you press the button or not later? And she's like, I can't remember. And like, well, you didn't take the drug. What's going on? Yeah. And when Carlos does something like out of character, they're like, maybe you have a mind controlling parasite in your brain because you would never do that. And yet you did. What's going on? So I'll say this, the game is trying to draw attention to characters making weird falcing decisions, and they're like, the characters are kind of revolting sometimes against some of the decisions made, depending on what you choose. So,
guess I mostly stayed in character, with the exception of the very first choice, because Carlos sent the paper out. He's like, we gotta vote this way so everybody lives. I did the complete opposite. I made sure everybody still lived, but I made sure everybody felt like that they were going against the paper, trying to kill somebody else, but then nobody died anyway, because they all voted the opposite. I found that was kind of funny. They all have that psychological trauma of, oh my gosh, I think I just killed that team, but nobody actually died.
But yeah, as you make choices that seem maybe out of character, the characters have some strong reactions to those choices.
So, let me ask this then. I have been just like going through every room that I get and just making sure that I see every choice. Am I playing this game wrong? Am I messing myself up?
Define
like,
wrong.
do I have to go back to a bunch of different rooms and make the right choice?
Right. So what's going to happen is largely what we got is just, did everyone make everyone survive the initial game, right?
I did.
I did both.
You did both? So whatever choice...
I've done every decision.
Oh, wow. The thing is, whatever choice you chose last is the one that exists in the game state right now. So if you go back and make a different decision, it changes the game state. Which is why I don't think the boxes showed up for you. So right now, you probably don't have everyone alive. I assume you made everyone alive first and then went back and then pressed the button with people.
Yeah.
So you may have to go back and unpress the button with everyone to change the game board in such a state where everyone lived.
So I need to go back through each decision. Because, like, there's the acid button, there's the vote.
I think just those.
And I've done
matter.
both decisions on both of those.
Yeah. I think the vote is required to unlock fragments in the first place, or a lot of them, for everyone to live. But you can see, if you look at the little map at the top, there's like which team is dead currently, because there's like a little red X, a little green X, a little blue X, and there's like a thumbs up, and that'll tell you what the game state is currently. You do have to play with that. If you really get stuck, I'll look up a guide. Don't look it up, obviously, but I'll look up a guide to tell you how to progress. But I think, gun to my head, or acid to my brain, I think you need to go in and maybe make everyone alive, because I bet your game board currently exists in a state of one or more of the teams dying, and so there's not a way to move forward in the future, because you need to experience the future where everyone lives, probably. But I think there are points where you might... I don't remember if you have to kill people. I know there are some futures that are locked behind everyone surviving. I don't remember if there's some futures that are locked behind a team dying or not. Or, you know, so... make of that what you will. If you get stuck and you can't find it with experimentation, I'll look up the way forward for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's another issue I have with like the fragments and how this game is set up, because that just, I would not have thought of that. Like, because I'm not invested with these characters and these decisions, I assumed, like VLR, that you may be able to get something beneficial from even the timelines that you fail at or that you die. So I've just been, every chance I get, I've just gone through and been like, okay, I want to see if I kill Mira, if I kill Eric, if I try to kill myself. That's what I've been doing.
Yeah, I think that's valid, because I think Austin has avoided some choices that I think he's going to have to go back and make, and I think you've made every choice. It's not just making every choice, it's sometimes certain confluence of choices unlock new paths. I don't remember what those confluences are. I will look after this podcast. I will look them up. And in fact, sorry, Editor Dallen, you can put maybe in a if there's a way to send. Editor Dallen will put a link to a spoiler-free way to progress forward for if anyone is watching this and following along and wants to progress also but doesn't want to get spoiled. I'll put that in the description here. And then, Christian, I will send to you some of the choices you can make to unlock paths forward without just randomly rewatching scenes a billion times. Because this game is optimized well and is easy to progress and understand.
Well, this game, I will say, this game has my favorite fast forward.
Okay, sure, yeah.
Because just because it's not broken up by beep, 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 beep of, like, the maps. So, like, you hit for me, I just hit B on my controller, and it just fast forwards, decision.
Yeah. I will say this also.
Like that.
We went over it quickly. I think I should have mentioned this earlier, sorry, but I think the visuals are a downgrade. I think the music is an upgrade. I think this is the best the soundtrack has been. It's pulling from previous things. I love all the new soundtracks. At this point, I'm not even going to ask you, Austin. I know you're like, I didn't even notice the music. Fine. I think it's phenomenal.
I noticed a couple. I like the music box returning from VLR.
Did you notice Glacial Solitude?
I don't remember the name of the soundtracks. I probably did.
That's the one that's got like that weird wailing siren in the background. Like a woman's voice almost. That it's whatever. It's playing now. I'm sure it's genuinely spine tingling to me. I find it just. I think this soundtrack is like 100% underappreciated and is some of the best like thinking puzzle solving music. It's some of the best horror music. I would even say that this tops a lot of Resident Evil soundtracks for me. It's because it's more than atmospheric. It's stuff I actually listen to in my day-to-day and for inspiration. I think it's one of the most underappreciated soundtracks like in gaming history. So I'm not the music guy, but I frequently listen to this soundtrack. It's crazy good in contrast to the visuals. Imagine this game with 999 sprite art. Just
maybe a little better.
Oh.
But I mean, the complex motivations in that damn snail still exist. So
that is true. What at least
VLR with 999 style would have went hard.
Yeah. Coulda, shoulda, woulda. I'm going to ask this. I'm going to ask one thing, tell you one thing, and then we'll sign out. My question is, how are y'all enjoying the game so far? We've criticized it a lot. Where are we sitting on the thumbs? I know we're waiting on the mysteries to get solved, and I've also leaned you towards it's not going to be solved well. I'm telling you that, whether that's true or not.
I hope it makes me laugh at least. If it makes me laugh, it will not be as horrible.
That's pretty damning.
This has been like, I enjoy when I'm doing like when there are character moments in D Team. That gives the game some points. With how weird and bad Junpei is, I can't really enjoy C Team that much. Carlos is fine. I don't hate Carlos. Akane is actually kind of fine. Junpei really drags down that team. And then I hate Mira and I hate Eric. Q is fine, but there's nothing to know about Q. So, like, Q team could just not exist for all I care.
There's nothing to
for
know
right
about
now.
Q, he says.
Not yet. I said there's not yet. Oh. What do I know about Q? He's smart and strong, and he's as a mascot. That's all that's been revealed about Q in this entire game so far.
Okay.
Q is probably... I hope Q is the one that makes me laugh.
Christian.
I would say... It is definitely the weakest of the trilogy. I would say, if, at least so far, if we're ranking 999 and VLR at like an 8 or a 9, I would say this is around like a 5 to 6 territory. There is a slide directly in front of it that could easily drop it to much lower. But that's where we're at so far.
I'll say this as we go. We'll get into the reasons why. As a sequel, and what's even worse to me, a conclusion to the Zero Escape trilogy, I consider this almost an abomination. It's hovering lightly at a D-. As a game, just as an experience in and of itself, kind of trying to, but not perfectly, divorce myself from thinking about all the plot threads that weren't completed and how we're not going to get more story. I think it's like a C+ for me. I still think it's substantially weaker, but it has merits. I still think the escape room formula is fun. I think the decision games are more of them are interesting than aren't. Even if not every escape room is fun, there aren't enough games that are doing this that I think is interesting. I like time travel. Yeah, the fragments are messy. Yeah, the presentation's crappy. Yeah, the writing has taken a nosedive. But I tend to think the Zero Escape formula is so strong that even a really abysmally bad Zero Escape game comes out feeling like an okay game for me. And God forbid, like Austin said, it's at least not boring. I'm never bored. I'm frequently baffled, but I'm never bored, and I think that counts for something. I'd like a game that takes big swings and misses big than Pokemon that's just doing the same thing that kind of worked over and over until we drive it into the dirt and it's just lost all life. So I gotta give it that at least. That's my big takeaway so far. Next time we're gonna get the revelations. I'm going to see if y'all survive the mind breaking that this game endures on you, and I think our lowest average game right now is Spyro 2, I think, not counting Pokemon, which is just quit. Sorry, because that's still a high ranking, because you ranked it a B, he did a D, and I did a C. The average is C. We've liked most of the games we've played. Mm-hmm. I think our lowest average is a C. That's why I'm saying we're in danger of this one being a D, I suspect. I don't think we're going to hit F, but can we keep it out of the D territory? And I don't think we're rising higher than C. I want to see if it can hold even with C with Spyro 2, or if it's going to drop and become the new lowest rated game. Except for Pokemon, which is weird because we didn't technically rate it, and I don't think any of us would rate Gen 4 a D, but it also was so infuriating we quit, so that's in a weird superposition of ratings. So we're all like, Gen 4 is the best Pokemon, also we couldn't finish it. So, make of that what you will. But yeah, fellas, thank you for taking the time. I know it's been quite a wild ride. We're nearly done. Yeah, the home stretch is there. We're gonna make it. I am Dallen Molna. You can finish. Nope, just gonna stare at me. I'm going to jump to a timeline where you guys take my lead and actually leave the podcast now.
September 30th, 1998.
It's a time loop. We're back where we started. Oh, man.
Au revoir.
Okay. Gosh dang.